part of it. It's part of the reason I wanted to do it. You know, I wanted to help a friend, but I also wanted to just carry on, you know, pun intending, flexing that action muscle, and just because it's a completely different skill set and something I hadn't done much before. And then we got this boy involved, and Nick's going to tell you about that.
Yeah. I just got given a big plastic nose to wear. That's they were rehearsing stunts and they were sticking this nose on. I was like,
you sure pick your own tattoo at least?
Like yeah, that's my own tattoo. No, it was Patrick's idea. I've been very good friends with these guys for a long time. They were at Elstree Studios preparing it. I was at Elstree Studios fixing my car. And then Adam said, you know, do you want to do this thing? And Ben said, yeah, this would be fun. And then I'd been here last year, and I think I'd just flown back from the festival last year, I think. And I'd literally got off the plane from here, went to this rehearsals and got given a plastic nose. And that's when I thought, you know, why can't he be Russian? And then, yeah, it'll be fine, you know. So it was all sort of made that the joy, the beauty of short films instead of big films is these guys are in charge. They're our friends. There's no big American studio boss. There's no one that's going to tell you what you can and can't do apart from these guys. And that's a discussion, not an order. Do you understand? So with short films, you have this fantastic freedom, not just to ask if you can get people for stars for 2 or 3 days, or people that are stunt coordinators from the James Bond films or Batman for 2 or 3 days. They'll do 2 or 3 days on your short film. They might not do 3 months in a desolate country on a feature, but they'll do a few days on your short film. But you have the freedom to experiment and to just to try to make things. You can make a thing work in a different way on a short film.
How do you mean?
Well, you can try something backwards, like instead of discussing whether it's going to be a Russian accent with a stuck or no, just do it and see if it works. You know? And then the short film, they'd say, yeah, okay, yeah, let's go with that. Whereas, so short films are so important because everybody gets to experiment. And everybody is given freedom, not just the actors, but also the producers, the writers, the effects guys, everything. And wonderful things happen, like we end up here, you know.
Also, they're there 100% because they're supporting the project and for the love of it. Because a lot of them weren't getting paid; they were just there because they wanted to be there, because they wanted to be involved with it. So it's about everyone collaborating, being there, not just because they're getting paid, but because they're loving it, which is, you know, we're not always lucky enough to have that in our industry. But that's what you always guaranteed with a project like this.
But Nick brings up an interesting point. What did you tell them they couldn't do? I mean, because like everybody's good for things they wanted to do, but you have to say, we can't do this, we can't do that because we're on a clock.
Trust me, we said they can't do a lot. No, you definitely discuss things. You've got to discuss things, you've got everything, and we did discuss things a lot. We didn't discuss things as much as you would like to, because obviously you'd like to have as much prep as you can, and obviously for Patrick, he didn't have as much prep as one would.
I'm sure this idea has been boiling around his head for a long time. You were talking about.
Yeah. He's been talking about it for a while, but once he's actually got his technicians and going through everything with that, it all did happen very fast. But it was about coming to an agreement because Benedict was producing on this. Benedict was involved in so much of that, which it was a gift for everyone else.
The reason the company formed was in order for the product to be of a certain quality. So, not just supporting someone in independent cinema, but making sure that it was good. And like Nick says, everyone in every department was trying new things. We had a DOP who was working with a camera that had really had a massive outing like this. It
was the first.
Sounds like
it was
the
first. The F65.
F65.
It was the first time it had been used in the UK on drama.
Yeah, so all of these things, and a lot of them coming together through all of it really coming together through generosity because of the crowdfunding. You get an audience paying to see something that they just have faith in because of the people involved in it. That's a great gesture of goodwill and generosity. So there comes an onus of responsibility. I'm just like, you sure you want to see this film? But people do, and it's just about being part of that film coming to life, whatever the end result is. And so the company formed not to say this is the kind of film we're going to make. The company formed to make sure that we made a good version of this we go next with the company is going to be very, very different from this. But
I mean, is there kind of a chart, or the things that you guys want to do, or is it just a matter of finding things that aren't being offered to you?
Assignment partner.
No, I think it's about doing things that we think are interesting and that we want to do. And they may be things that it's harder for bigger studios or companies to do. And it's about finding the right project that we think allows us to work with artists and allows them to express themselves, as we allowed Patrick to do in this film and sort of explore his directing vision. That's kind of one of the main goals of the company and the way we want it to sort of work forward, I think.
One of the reasons, because I'd been here last year with the film that I directed, and I knew how wonderful it was, and how great the festival was, and how beautiful and film-friendly the city was, and that you have Alvernia, this amazing film studio just outside, I put to the guys, let's go to this place because this might be something that will help us moving forward. And what we're doing here is hopefully potentially putting a project together to come here with. And that's one of the joys of being a small company that isn't restricted. And I feel very lucky because I came here last year and had such an amazing time and had the best kept secret in the film industry that this place is wonderful. This place should be filmed. The rest of the world needs to know how beautiful Cracow is and how and movies should be made here and should be set here, and the Polish crew, the people that I worked with later in the year working here were wonderful, and so this is a great potential. There's these new guys with this wonderful company, and here's this amazing city with this wonderful potential. So it's a sort of coming together.
The new mayor of Cracow, ladies and gentlemen. But it's quite a statement to bring this film here, because I'm sure you could have gone any number of places. Why did you decide to come here with it?
Exactly because of Nick just said. Now I get to say the same things. Cracow is amazing. You have a fantastic facility here in that studio, and
but it's a real statement to come to this festival.
Well, it's an independent film. This is a great independent film festival, and his association with it before gave us an immediate knowledge of it. And this isn't a film that we've taken to festivals. We've come here to sort of announce ourselves as a company as much as anything else, rather than promoting the film. The film sort of had its life. This is a screening to say, well, look, we came together because of this. And that's really it. It doesn't define where we want to take our future projects. And as far as that goes, we're a fledgling company. We're very young, and we're just beginning. We're turning full beam on it, and we have a fantastic avenue of source material, whether it be original stories or books or original scripts or adaptations, and whether we work as a co-production company, whether it's a project that stars me or that I direct or that I'm just associated with as a producer, we're just slowly figuring that out. But I just think this is an extraordinary place to, play out the end game of that. So once we have the project, we can come here and potentially shoot from home, which is
What happens next to this project? I mean, is there a fully fleshed script that exists that you guys want to shoot now, or what happens?
Well, Patrick, I think, is working on one, but watch this space, I guess. Yeah, watch this space. But like I said, I don't know if that will be the first one out of the drawer. Definitely for us, there's other things we want to do first.
But you created an appetite for it by this making.
I think, yeah, possibly, but more so an appetite for him and his direction and his writing. That's what this was initiated by. A friendship and a love of someone who's dear to me. So I wanted to give him the helping hand and an introduction to a larger stage. He might, yeah. He might, exactly. Nick said
he might make a feature film and he might recast. He might get someone else.
He might get a real Russian.
Yeah, exactly. Someone that isn't fixing their car in the studio.
What's so interesting about it is that there's so much silence in it. I mean, really it's sort of about this sort of almost everybody, with the exception of the chatty Russian, working with some kind of emotional scar tissue.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I think I think silence holds as thought process on screen. So you do get a lot of interior monologue. You get a lot of interior life, even though you don't necessarily have dialogue. And also you've got a very short space of time to tell a story. So why not use the things that cinema's most powerful at exhibiting, which to me is the image and sound rather than just dialogue. You know, you haven't got 2 hours to compact a story into. You've got, well, this is a long short film, 20 minutes. Some would say it's a medium film rather than a short film. But I think it's, you know, it's one of the great reasons why it works so well as a medium, is that like a poem, you have a sharper, punchier impact with less dialogue, with less immediate wordplay. And also just leaves a lot more sort of consideration and head scratching for an audience, which in some ways we'll find out in a minute is a good thing. It might not be, but you know, I think it doesn't clearly define things, so you can just go away and fill in the blank slightly for yourself, and like you say, it creates an appetite for a fuller story. So, you know, I know Patrick's writing it, but yeah, watch this space, I guess.
No, because I was talking to you guys about this yesterday. I think a lot of times short films try to do too much. They try to build in 3 acts in a literal space that you can't hold 3 acts. You must be really impressed that there was enough on the page that it sort of satisfies an audience but still leaves room for more.
I do, and it was so much about what was going on behind the looks and behind the not having to push dialogue and into explaining everything, which hopefully came across. And the one thing that I did want to add is because this was a completely crowd-funded film, it would not have been possible without the support that we got from everybody so quickly. I mean,
I think the Stig was staying at the end of the film?
The Stig, yeah, he was doing some of our driving.
Was he driving your car, Benedict?
I was allowed to be beaten up, but I wasn't allowed to drive the car.
But no, the online support we got and the support we got from all of our funders was sensational, and we wouldn't have been able to do it without them. So, yeah.
Did you know you wanted to crowdsource this from the beginning, just to test the waters a little bit?
It was the original idea. We thought we'd just see how it went, and we did a budget, and we went for that, and it rocketed. It went completely above that. So we rebudgeted. we bought out a few more toys.
What's great about it is because so much of it takes place at night, there's a level of anxiety that exists throughout the entire film. That just having watched it on my laptop, seeing it here, it's a lot more sort of unnerving seeing all that darkness in it.
I think I have to say, as a director, the testament to these guys as producers, there was a lot of attention in post-production that people don't bother with sometimes. They think, oh, that'll do, the sound will do, the picture's good enough, the story's there, we've got some guys in it that people know, this is fine. But these guys really pushed the production so that the reason there is that atmosphere is because time was spent in. It sounds stupid, but you have to mix silence in a film. You do have to make sure that there's an atmosphere. There's a very, very low subsonic buzz, hum under this film that makes people, puts people on edge. And it's something that people don't bother with unless they're very diligent producers that want to make it as good as it can be. The grading, the way that it's shot, the way that everything was improved as far as it could be, and that's why you have this sense of atmosphere with the film, because the sound mix is so good, the picture mix is so good, and so much care and love has gone into it.
As producers, what do you guys feel like the best way was to support Patrick? Because obviously he's trying to do a lot in a very limited amount of time.
Yeah, I think one of the main things, and when Benedict sort of asked us about the project, was to allow Patrick to focus on directing and shooting the best possible thing he can shoot as a director. So we take all the other things away from him. And, you know, basically, as Adam said, as the budget's changed, we gave him more and more. And it was, you know, it's a great situation. One day it's like, right, you can have this crane, and next day it's like, well, actually, you can have this crane. Now you can do an amazing thing with this. And so, you know, it's really nice. It was a genuinely amazing experience to be able to give someone a chance to really push and show everyone what they can do as a director. I think that's one of the things that I personally got from it most, that you look back and you think, you know, he really had a chance to really show everyone what he can do. I think that's kind of the driving force behind.
I think so, because, you know, when he did his first film, he was producing it, writing it, directing it, and it was, you know, yeah, and when you're that inexperienced anyway, to take on those three Titanic roles, it was great for him to just be by the camera, to be talking with Paris, his daughter. That's his daughter. That extraordinary child is his daughter, and that was another reason that I'm proud of this film. She's extraordinary, and Nance is a very fresh and very, very natural, understated talent. She's really quite something. And to be with us, you know, the three of us, Colin, myself, and Paris, by the camera, and just concentrate on the shot with James, the DOP, and guide us through, understand our processes, what we wanted to change and differ, so that immediate conversations could happen about the work happening in the present tense, rather than him worrying about budget or need to clear out of a certain location by a certain deadline, or the other sort of extraneous pressures of being a filmmaker, because he really had done a one-man band job before. So it was about just him fulfilling his potential as a director, writer on a set with actors and a camera, rather than worrying about everything else that would have, these guys fantastically took care of. So, yeah.
Well, because I just think the thing is really tough for a film not like this, for this film, is to maintain that tone from start to finish. Again, like I said, just that sense of feeling sort of the hair standing from the back of your neck. You guys see that on the page as you were getting ready to work on it.
I think we did, yeah, and it was more about pulling back, because it's quite easy to push too much forwards with that. And Patrick definitely knew what he wanted, but also he was so guided by Nick and by Benedict, who both had a huge wealth of knowledge, and it was definitely more about pulling back. And in post, we tried to pull back even more for obvious reasons.
Well, it was lucky that his daughter was so talented, because I don't know how you would totally know if she couldn't.
She was great.
Yeah, she was great. We were thrilled, and it was so sweet and extraordinary to sort of see her blossom from that first day rehearsal. She was really, really shy and nervous, and just gain this performing confidence that by the end, that really complex sort of demeanor, she just did so chillingly, so effortlessly. She sort of told me, "Was that right?" We were like, "Yeah, that was all right." That was pretty special. So she's, that was a lovely thing, kind of see a father and daughter relationship as well. And I should add at this point, obviously this is a young child actor in a very violent scene, but the way we shot it and the way we managed it, we obviously had child services on set, so everything was managed. She was never aware of the violence that she was inflicting, perverse as that may sound. I don't think she's seen it. So,
well, she's here right now. Let's bring her up.
Let's bring her on. Yeah.
She's not here. Calm down. She's not here.
The only reason he took the gig, he wanted to interview this amazing young man. Yeah, and so that was done very responsibly. However irresponsible the results may seem, the irresponsibility of the violence is obviously the moral message, perversely, that to have a child be in that situation is abhorrent to anyone, and it should make you feel very uncomfortable as a viewer.
No, I mean, that's what I'm saying about it sort of whetting your appetite, because the moment for me that's the most chilling is when she says to your character, "You got him," and she runs out, and you think, "Oh my God, she's in control of this."
Yeah.
And there's also a great moment where we realize she's leading you by the hand. When she takes your hand, you don't take her hand.
And you think it's just a child who's a bit insecure that wants to hold on.
But no, you realize it's her being in control.
It's her. She leads him all the way. She plays him all the way.
I mean, it's an incredibly confident piece of filmmaking.
Yeah.
And just small moments like that was when you guys must have known you had a real filmmaker that you were working with.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's something that occurred to me today is that there is no difference between the child soldiers in Africa and that we like to think of as abhorrent, but then that's what this film is about. That you can be a child warrior, and that piece of artwork that we use, Scooney, these sort of contemporary Banksy, that artwork on the wall sums all that up.
Patrick and I talked about this earlier on, because I was very nervous about this idea, this very potent, explosive idea. And we both kind of came to understand that he really explained it more beautifully than I'd understood it before. He talked about the idea that, like you touched on, we see child soldiering as something that's distant, that happens in a far-off place, and it's a terrible byproduct of poverty and destitution and war in countries far removed from a Western reality, for want of a better term. Civilized, and actually, the idea that violence can corrupt within our own society is what it's kind of riffing off. It's not that far away. You can get more profound about it and take it away from the simple statement of the film we're talking about, child violence or teenage violence in gangs or in gun cultures like America. So. He wanted to point that out, that it's not something that's that far away.
I mean, what we get again from me in that moment when she's basically running off is you realize it's not only this glib about violence. I mean, it's not just slick violence for the sake of sort of violence. There's an emotional point to all of this.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to hear you say that, because the last thing we wanted to be is gratuitous. You should see a man who's seen a lot who's traumatized by what he's seen, seeing a child doing something he's never seen before, and it takes him to another level of distress and distraction. It's an utter shock.
No, it's not cathartic at all. It's really kind of horrifying. Before we finish up here, Nick has a film showing this afternoon at 3.
Yeah, the Kid. I was very lucky. I brought my first feature film here last year, and it was wonderfully received. So much so that he let me come back. The second feature film that I directed, The Kid, with Natasha McElhorn and Rupert Friend and Johan Griffith, that's at 3 o'clock at the... What's it at?
I don't know. Anya, come and tell us about it. We have a little surprise here for you, Nick. So what? Do we have something?
Pod baranami!
She's going to sing. Billy Piper.
It's so unfair. Anyway, it's Pod baranami at 3 p.m. 15. Pod baranami, zapraszamy. Maybe sold out. Okay, whatever. Just tease them, why don't you?
We'll be there.
Please come. Please come. And let's thank you guys for all being here. Right. Are we done? We have questions here. Now we know the actress isn't here. Questions? How are we doing? Is there a microphone going around? There's a microphone right there. Do you have the first question? Right in front of you.
Thank you for coming to Poland, first of all. All of you. I hope you do enjoy your stay here. My question is to Benedict. I'll think of some more. Kim Cattrall said a few days ago that for her acting is like flying.
Who said that?
Kim Cattrall.
Okay.
I wonder what is acting for you, and if you could find any lines of comparison to directing, perhaps, and producing.
Acting is unlike any other activity for me. It's not really like cruising at 30,000 feet. I'm sure that's not what she meant. She meant it gives you a feeling of freedom, which when it's going well, I completely understand what she means. I concur with that. But yeah, no, I think, it's not really like anything in the sense that it's basically about being present. It's basically about being present in a given set of circumstances with the tactics that your character has to employ to achieve an objective, and it's about doing that with some form of immersion, some form of forgetfulness of what came before, because you are just now you're in the present moment of time. So if it's like anything, it's like a sort of slightly Zen poem. It should be, I guess.
It's funny because as you're saying, I was thinking about the instructions that he's giving to his daughter. That's almost like you get from an acting coach. Be here. Be strong.
Yeah.
Those are all things you kind of need to attention.
Absolutely. And no, I love my job, and I know what Kim means. I mean, it's a real thrill when you hit the sweet spot. But you can't even sit in that for very long, to be honest. I don't know. Maybe it's more like free falling than flying for me. It's just there are good moments and terrifying moments and fantastic, elating moments. And it's an evolving course of likeness to anything else. It's nothing fixed for me.
Do you like the terrifying moments?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I mean, that's why I put myself in positions of doing things I haven't done before, like that, or presenting an award ceremony, or doing things I haven't done. And I don't like to repeat myself too much. So, you do one, and then loads of offers come for the same kind of role. And that's the same with life and the other opportunities where I'm at the moment are kind of offering me. I like to keep things fresh. So yeah, the fear is a massive drive, actually. Absolutely, I think it is for any performing artist. You have to take risks, and it doesn't always involve the most extreme risk. But yeah, I think in order to kind of keep it fresh, it's really important to galvanise yourself with that.
Another question, maybe something for Adam over here.
Well, I have a kind of question for everyone here. Maybe it's a bit too straightforward about the plot, but I'm just really captivated by the screenshot when James and Ace are standing, and between them there's this door frame. And I have this feeling that this door frame somehow symbolizes some kind of conflict And if you could just say something about, well, simply what went on between these people? Just, maybe it's a bit straightforward, but.
It's not a door frame, but it is a divide. It's not a door frame to lead into a question, unlike the place that they appear and disappear from, where James disappears and where Lila appears from. It is a divide. I think it's quite a conscious screen divide, and it's about two people who have come to different places, having been together, and they come back together with that sort of Apache handshake, that competent sign of command, of loyalty, of bondedness, of blood brotherishness, of that band of brothers sort of ethos. And without going into too much detail, because like I said, Patrick's going to write something which will probably flesh the story out. I don't want to spoil it, but I think it doesn't take too much of a genius to work out that there's a military history, and he owes him a massive favour. Basically, he got Wallace out of a huge deal of trouble. Wallace, we sort of decided, was more special ops, and James might have been more of a straightforward commander of a company that had him underneath his wing and was basically trying to protect him. And the heat that Wallace brought got the whole company into trouble. But they knew that he was the prized goal of this company because of his mission, so they kept him alive and sacrificed a lot of the other company in a moment of battle. So that's kind of the little favour. That's the bond. That's the thing that joins them. And it's a favour that he knows is just there to be called on at any point in time. So I think that divide is about where they've both gone since, and then the handshake is about the fact that they're back in each other's worlds again.
And the darkness that Patrick was using as the doorway, the one thing he said is that the scariest thing is the unknown. And the more dark you put into it, and the more you make suggestive, is the scariest part, especially for ex-soldiers and that kind of thing. That's where he was going.
There's also the sense too that that obviously Wallace is trying to leave it behind, but James still isn't there. But just the way he disappears, he still is practicing those skills in a very conscious way, isn't he?
Yeah. Very much so, and there is obviously like Patrick touched the Jungian thing of shadow selves, and something that emerges from the darkness is very potent in the film. These are nocturnal creatures and people who operate undercover, literally. So it's about maintaining a low profile. So that works obviously very well in film when you step into when you're in darkness, and that's played tonally with throughout the film.
So why a Russian again, Nick?
Why not? I did a movie in Russia, in Moscow, and I learned how to swear. So why not? Ironically, this week we were discussing this. As you know, Putin has outlawed swearing in Russia. Any actor that swears will be fined and jailed.
Fuck that shit.
So this could send me to prison.
We'll get it released in Russia as quickly as possible.
Yeah, another question. Where's the microphone? I can get over here.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess you've got it next.
My question is, what is more demanding for you, being an actor or a producer of a little movie?
Who's the question to? What's more? Yeah, sorry.
Both really, because obviously they're both supporting Patrick. That's why this came about, was to have a brand. So in this instance, both. And we'll see moving forward what that means. The one thing I don't want the company to be is a vehicle for vanity projects for me. Obviously I want to do some work, and I want to do the kind of work that I can originate as well. So being a producer or a director potentially is a wonderful way of seeing a project, obviously from inception to completion. And I've never had that journey, so I'm intrigued by what that would involve, and the incredible level of stepping up that would also involve, just the complete work process.
Do you feel restricted by kinds of offers that have come your way so far? The things that you ideally wanted to do that haven't been offered yet?
I've got very few complaints, I have to say. That's not me just being sort of polite. I've been stretched and tested along the way, so I'm very, very happy about that. And of course there are certain things that I may or may not pursue, but not good to talk about now necessarily. But yeah, I no regrets about something that hasn't happened. Everything seems to be happening.
Also, I have to point this out that Benedict he's such a generous man. He's such a cultured, generous spirit. And as a producer, it's wonderful to have somebody on set who cares. Who, if there's a problem, then Benedict will walk up to that problem and ask if people are okay or.
Oh no, I'm fine, thank you.
Oh, he's so nice.
So I think Benedict's a very good producer. He's obviously a world-class, spectacularly good actor. But he's a very, very good producer. And that's something you're not a good producer.
Can I just say? but Nick's touched on something I care about very much, which is to make the working conditions of crews and actors a much more enjoyable experience. You know, there's always an element of it where it is a job. It's an art form, but it's also a craft. So we do our work and then we go home, we shut off, we have our private life, we have our family life, our friends and family, and that's something separate. But when you come to work knowing that you're all doing it for a good reason, that you're going to be treated with respect and equanimity, and have something that bonds you, not just about the quality of the work, which that can shave off years of your life just doing something because you think it's going to be a good project. You know, technicians who work day after day, project after project, don't have the space in their hearts for that unless you give them something that makes the working experience really enjoyable from beginning to end. And so that, you know, I've had a couple of occasions. I've been very spoiled as an actor, as most actors are. But you look around you sometimes at crews doing overtime and think about the children that are waiting at home for them, and you just think this is wrong. There's another way of doing this, and often that's about not worrying so much about profit margins. About, you know, going right. Well, we'll pay the overtime, or you can have the time off, and we'll make up for it on another day. But just being that matters to me. That does matter to me. So that is a huge part of what I'm a producer.
Yeah, but
and we did on this. Yeah,
but to do the personal touch, to do the thing where Benedict actually spoke to everybody and everybody, there was no distance. You know, it wasn't the actor, you can't look at him. It's the producer who's here to help, along with the other producers. And I thought that was quite sort of, you know, that was cool.
Yeah, there were obvious crisis meetings that we had to pull when the script wasn't working or something wasn't coming another way. And with Benedict, not only having to be in his character of Wallace, but he would have to remove himself from that with having all the makeup and all the prosthetics. But he would be in those meetings, in every meeting, figuring these things out.
Looking like a horror show, yeah.
No, but also because of his good relationship with Patrick, he was there all the way, and he's great. We love him.
I just agree with byAdam.
And on that note of disharmony, let's thank these guys for being here. Thank you guys.
Thank you very much.
Don't leave yet. Oh, Nick.
Okay, can I? Sorry, just a bit of a thank you, to you as well, of course. But you'll be coming back every year. I know you. Would you mind just stepping over here for a minute? Sorry, no, I don't want to be in front of all these people, but just a little thing. I know you're not a fan of the word against, so we would just call it a thank you award.
The thank you award.
The thank you award, yes, for making our lives easier by actually supporting independent cinema, which is what we're trying to do here. Meaning doing your own thing and not being afraid to make risky choices and doing all sorts of things that you're proud of, which we're very happy about. So thank you very much from all of us, from the city. Obviously, clearly, you know, everyone agrees that you deserve it. Stay in touch with us for a little bit longer by just, you know, just having an imprint of the hands. Yeah, I mean, it's already before, so it's fine.